You probably know this woman as Hedy Lamarr, one of the most beautiful actresses of Hollywood's golden age. But what if I told you that behind that famous face was an inventor, a woman who helped develop technology designed to keep enemy forces from jamming radio-controlled torpedoes during World War II? Yeah, she did what? But before she was Hedy Lamarr, she was Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler, born in Vienna, Austria in 1914. But even as a child, Hedy was incredibly curious. Her father encouraged that curiosity and would explain to her how different machines and technology worked. But it wasn't her interest in technology that first made Hedy famous. It was acting. She began acting as a teenager, and by the 1930s, or the early 1930s, I should say, she was already attracting international attention. As Hedy's acting career grew, she eventually made her way to Hollywood, where MGM turned Hedwig Kiesler into Hedy Lamarr. She became one of the most recognizable actresses of Hollywood's golden age. Audience saw the movie star, they saw the glamorous clothes, and they saw that incredible face. But while everybody was looking at her face, almost nobody was paying attention to her brain. Because when Hedy wasn't making movies, she loved to invent. She tinkered, experimented, and worked on ideas in her spare time. And then World War II changed everything. Hedy understood that radio-controlled torpedoes had serious weaknesses. If the enemy discovered the frequency being used to guide them, they could simply jam the signal. And Hedy began wondering, what if that signal didn't stay on just one frequency? And that's where George Antheil enters the story. George wasn't a military engineer. He was actually a composer. But together, Hedy and George came up with an ingenious idea. Instead of sending the torpedo's guidance signal over one predictable radio frequency, the transmitter and the receiver could switch frequencies together, making the signal much harder for the enemy to jam. And here's where George's musical background became incredibly useful. Their design used a system inspired by synchronized player piano rolls. A piano has 88 keys, and their system used 88 different frequencies, allowing the signal to jump from one frequency to another. And this wasn't just an idea. Hedy Lamarr and George Antheil actually patented it. On August 11, 1942, they were granted U.S. patent number 2,292,387 for their secret communication system. And if you look at the patent, you won't see the name Hedy Lamarr. You'll see Hedy Kiesler Marquis, her legal married name at the time. But despite how brilliant their idea was, the U.S. Navy didn't put Hedy and George's system into use during World War II. That's a shame. Hedy was instead encouraged to use something the government already knew she was very good at, being famous. She helped the war effort by selling war bonds. And for decades, most people remembered Hedy Lamarr for her beauty and her movies, not for her invention. Now, you may have heard that Hedy Lamarr invented Wi-Fi. That's not exactly true. She didn't invent Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or GPS. But the frequency hopping work she and George Antheil pioneered became an important part of history to secure wireless communication. And I think that's what makes her story so incredible. That curious little girl from Vienna grew up to become a Hollywood movie star and a patented inventor. The world spent years looking at Hedy Lamarr and almost missed what was happening inside her head. Her name was Hedy Lamarr. Actress, inventor, a woman history seriously underestimated, and she is exactly why I started this series. She did what?